Welcome to The Authority File, the academic library podcast from Choice. Choice is a publishing division of the ACRL and the publisher of Choice Reviews, Resources for College Libraries, and CC Advisor. I'm Bill Mickey, the host of the podcast and the editorial director at Choice. For this next series of episodes, we're taking a break from our normal format, and what you're about to hear is a special live panel presentation I moderated at the Charleston Conference in early November. The session is based on a white paper Choice published in September called Marketing Academic Library Resources and Services. Appearing with me on the panel are the white paper's co-authors, Sabine Dantas, Outreach Librarian at Lynn University, and Jennifer Park, Assistant Librarian for Access and Outreach Services at Mount St. Mary College. Also with us is Lisa Martin, Coordinator of Outreach and Business Librarian at the M.D. Anderson Library at the University of Houston. During the panel, we discussed the current state of marketing and outreach, still considered a burgeoning practice among academic libraries, and what these initiatives look like in different kinds of institutions. We also dug into some of the top-line trends of a marketing and outreach survey Choice conducted earlier this year, the analysis of which forms the backbone of the white paper. The panel, one of the Charleston Conference's lively lunch sessions, was produced and made possible by Taylor and Francis, which also underwrote the white paper and generously provided us with the audio. If you haven't yet, you can download the white paper at choice360.org. Just click on the librarianship drop-down and select white papers. So we've broken down the audio into 4 episodes, and today in part 4, our final episode of the series, the panelists and I discuss the marketing and outreach of digital resources in particular, and the kinds of promotional priorities placed on them. Okay, so I did want to talk a little bit about marketing digital resources. And this was something we asked about in the survey, and in sort of dividing up the various marketing and outreach efforts dedicated to specific resources, e-resources or digital resources. 61% of respondents labeled this as very important. And just to sort of put this on a scale, according to our respondent group, which, it's a much higher priority, say, than over print, where 24% of respondents felt that marketing the print resources was very important. And, there might be some obvious answers here, and Lisa, we'll start with you, because I know what you're going to say, but I'm wondering, if you could say, this will be different from institution to institution, but if you could describe that difference in terms of the marketing emphasis on resources.
Sure. So for us, it's a matter of budget dollars. 92% of our collections budget goes to electronic resources. 8% goes to print. We're a large library. We do a lot. And that is how our users prefer to get those materials. We have a number of distance users, there's reasons why. But that means that an overwhelming amount of our marketing and outreach effort should be directed towards marketing electronic resources. It's really hard to justify spending a huge amount of time on 8% of your budget dollars. That doesn't mean the users aren't there. And in fact, the 8% is often in the humanities, right? So we have subject liaisons and, again, cross-training. We work with those subject liaisons to talk to them about how we can do better messaging for those print resources. I will also say, very large institution, we marketed something, you might call it the Netflix of electronic resources for the academic library market. I won't name and shame. And we put it out on Twitter. And our faculty and students latched on to this Netflix for academic libraries, and they blew our monthly budget because there was such an interest. So you really have to look at the entire chain, your budget folks, your licensing folks, all the different components of resources before you go out and you promote something. So it's a big question. It's a complicated question. If I can say anything about collections, I can say they're complex.
Our collections, we actually, like about, I think 2 years ago, we actually invested into a textbook collection, and we spent our entire book budget on the collection. And we promoted it. I did a lot of I did e-blast with the marketing department. I did a lot of promotions, and actually it's been used a lot. And what happened is that the next year, the campus administration gave us 40% more for our books. And so that increased our book budget by promoting and just showing the value. And it actually saves our students $300,000 a semester, $300,000. So it's something that we're able to do, but our e-resources have doubled in use because we actually implemented a new discovery layer around 2014. And so it's doubled the use of our e-resources. So I think the discovery layer has a lot to do with it as well. And basically the organization of the e-resources and how the website looks has a lot to do with it. And so all of us had input on that. And we have a really great digital resources librarian, Jared Wellman, and he's done such a great job with managing the website and the digital resources.
At my institution, we have actually not prioritized one over the other. We push the e-resources in the classroom a bit more than we do push the print materials. We are actually focusing now on what the faculty are telling their students to use. We want to know if the students are being told to use specific resources, are they being told to use books? So we're actually looking into that in the coming year, because we would like to then focus our efforts in building the collection based. We want people to use our items. So yeah.
Okay, great. So I think those were some of the important top line results that we found coming out of the survey and white paper. We have time now for questions. So there's a microphone right up in the center aisle there. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them.
Hi, Stacy with ASM. I do marketing from a vendor side. I think that wasn't touched on. I didn't like that it was third that you're promoting our resources, but I'll let it slide. But do you have any examples of working with some vendors? I know maybe large institutions have vendor days where they have their vendors come in, because I know you talk about resources and money. I think that most of the marketing staff want to help you. So do you have any examples to share?
Well, with me, our digital resources librarian, he kind of worked with New York Times and had us get some items from New York Times to get some resources so we can do a table. So the way we've dealt with vendors, we haven't done a vendor day. That's a great idea. But I think what we've done was just try to promote, using their marketing materials, try to promote the databases. I mean, it's succinct. I don't have to recreate the wheel. It actually saves me a lot of time since I do all the graphic design for the library. And so it's been a good help when the vendors provide marketing materials, even on their website, so I've done that, try to use the materials that they have already. And I like when they're editable in my perspective, where I can add in my library's logo and my library's website.
Yeah, we do. We don't go heavy on this either. Maybe Lisa could speak to a different perspective. I think it's actually not very well known among the marketing and outreach librarian community that the vendors will work with them. So I am just putting that out there as a possible avenue. How vendors will assist. What can be done. It's really we forayed into it just slightly, again with the New York Times or inviting a vendor in to meet with the faculty, and so on like that.
2 quick comments. The first is, y'all are fantastic. Sometimes your marketing materials are not quite going to appeal to our college-age audience. With a lot of respect and no call out to y'all specifically. Second thing, we often work, we have a great relationship, and with ASM as well, with people, with marketing from vendors when we've got a specific goal. So for example, we've done some great work with the publishers, Taylor and Francis among them, when we bring them in for publishing with our graduate students. So we've brought in the publishers and said, here is how you get published in a journal. This is the process from that perspective. And it's been incredibly successful. But again, we have a specific wider institutional goal.
Okay, any other questions? Fantastic. Well, please join me in applauding our panelists. Great job, you guys. You just heard from Sabine Dantas, Jennifer Park, and Lisa Martin. This concludes the fourth and final episode of a special live panel discussion at the 2018 Charleston Conference. This episode was brought to you by Taylor and Francis. Find all of the episodes of The Authority File on your favorite podcast app or on our website, choice360.org. Just click on the librarianship dropdown. On choice360.org, you'll also find information on Choice's entire product platform, including Choice Reviews, CC Advisor, Choice webinars, resources for college libraries, our white papers, and a whole lot more. A great way to keep up with the Authority File is to join the Choice Authority File Facebook group, which you can access via the Choice Reviews Facebook page. As a member of the group, you can give us feedback, suggest podcast participants, chat with other listeners, and submit new topic ideas. Sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and the production and editing are done by Choice's digital media specialist, Mark Dirks. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.